Today we've got another comparison for you with my new trusty cushioned comfy favorite, the 1080 V13. I have been loving this shoe recently, so I wanted to put it up against one of my old favorites that I used a lot at the beginning of this year, rebounding from that 2022 Charlotte Marathon, a shoe that helped me recover from minor injuries and get back on track with my running, and that is the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. Now on paper, these shoes are pretty similar in terms of stack height, in terms of weight, in terms of the ride that they are purporting to deliver, but there are some key differences in terms of how the execution of each of these plays out, namely the 1080 V13 with the fresh foam versus the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 here with the power run. That foam is going to be a key difference in the ride that they deliver out there on the roads. So in this video, I'm going to break down everything that you need to know about these shoes, and I'm going to let you know whether this Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 at a $70 to $80 price difference, $70 to $80 discount versus the New Balance 1080 V13 is a better buy for this holiday season. Now, before we get into it today, I did want to mention the Running Shoe Matcher tool. If you haven't checked this out yet, go to runningshoematcher.com. This is a cool tool I built for you guys that will match you with the best shoe for you based on your goals and preferences. So you go in there, answer 5 questions about what type of shoe you're looking for. Do you want a tempo shoe or daily trainer or a race day shoe? Do you like your shoes soft or firm? And we will match you with the best shoe for you. So it's live right now and it's free. You can check it out at runningshoematcher.com. So the New Balance 1080 V13 is the latest max cushion cruiser to hit the market from the Boston-based running brand. It has this fresh foam midsole here, stack of 38 millimeters in the heel and 32 millimeters in the forefoot for a 6 millimeter drop. Now it's using the fresh foam compound, which is an EVA. It has a full outsole worth of rubber and it has a fairly padded upper. Now this one comes in at 9.2 ounces. Now in the other corner here, we have the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. This one has a 39 millimeter stack of Power Run EVA foam in the heel, a 35 millimeter stack in the forefoot for a lower 4 millimeter drop. Now this one comes in at 9.4 ounces. Now the Endorphin Shift is part of Saucony's Endorphin series. It's positioned as the daily training option in that lineup of shoes. 1080 on the other hand is part of New Balance's fresh foam line of shoes, which is their standard training shoes. From the words of New Balance themselves, they say if they only made one shoe, it would be the 1080 here. So what they're looking to do in the shoe is deliver a comfortable, cushioned ride that can serve every type of runner, from a newbie to a high mileage marathon trainer. The 1080 comes in at $165, while the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 can be found at many places for under $100 right now. All right guys, now let's dive into the midsole of the 1080 versus the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. So the 1080 here is using a fresh foam X in the midsole, which is EVA blend. It's very soft underfoot. It's a really cushioned, comfortable ride. If you look at the push test here, you'll see that it's gonna give me a nice decent amount of energy return and feedback when I push it in, and it's not gonna be overly stiff and overly firm underfoot. This is not a very flexible shoe. Despite that softer foam, we're not gonna get a lot of flex throughout the platform, which does mean it is going to be a little bit more stable, has some more inherent rigidity in there. It's not going to be super squishy and squirrely as you're going along in those runs. Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 here, the midsole is very firm. Let's just get that out of the way up front. While this is a massive stack of foam, 39 in the heel, 35 in the forefoot, it's not as soft as you would expect from a max cushion shoe. Now, if you're looking for a softer Saucony max cushion shoe, that's going to be the Triumph with that Power Run Plus beaded TPU foam. This is their firmer max cushion shoe. So for me, I absolutely loved this thing when it was my primary daily trainer recovery shoe, because the firmer foam here in the midsole does provide a decent amount of energy return. If we do the little durometer here, let me see. I just did the durometer on these. The fresh foam in the New Balance 1080 was coming in at around 30 out of 100, and the Saucony Endorphin Shift is coming in at around 40 out of 100. So much firmer. The second big difference between these two, other than that firmness of the midsole foam, is going to be how the rocker feels underfoot. Now the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 is part of that Endorphin series from Saucony, which is characterized by that speed roll rocker. So you'll see here right in the geometry, this is like a canoe with how it curves up underfoot, and in the back here, a really nice rocker. So if you are a heel striker, it will help you roll along. The New Balance 1080 on the other other hand, does not have a big rocker experience. It does put you on your toes a little bit. You can see it curves up on the front, but it feels more like a flat, natural shoe. So that's gonna be a huge difference between the midsoles of these. The New Balance is really relying on that soft foam to deliver its midsole experience, while the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 relies on the rocker geometry. Now, both of these put you up tall, 38 millimeters in the heel of the New Balance, 39 millimeters in the heel of the Saucony. The drops are roughly similar. We got 6 in the 1080 and 4 in the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. So if you are a hardline low dropper or no dropper looking to experiment with a little bit of a drop, Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 is probably gonna be the better choice for you. If you like running in higher drop shoes, then you might have a good chance with the 1080. However, there are tons of other high drop running shoes out there like the Saucony Triumph and the Asics Gel Nimbus. Some of those other max cushion soft shoes, probably a better choice for you if you don't like lower to moderate drop shoes. Now, in terms of the ride experience of these, the New Balance 1080 is gonna be a little bit more relaxed and comfortable. It is closer to a recovery running shoe for me than a daily trainer. I don't like to pick up the pace in this 1080. The fastest I've gone is probably a minute slower than marathon pace. That's probably the fastest I'd take it feeling comfortable. You could get away with doing marathon pace in this if you had to throw a mile in here and there, or if you had to take it on a trip and you wanted to do some strides, but I would not do any type of workouts in this 1080. This really does feel best at a minute and a half to 2 minutes slower than your marathon pace. Saucony Endorphin Shift 3, on the other hand, while it does have this massive stack of foam, it looks like it's gonna be a relaxed, plodding along type of shoe. It actually does encourage you to pick up the pace due to the rocker geometry, and the firmer foam gives a nice aggressive on your toes feeling out there on the ride. So this is one of those shoes that surprisingly when you put it on, you're going 15 seconds to 20 seconds faster per mile than you expected. So for me, this can do marathon pace. This can do some light fartlek workouts. It can do those runs with strides with ease. And it's actually a great alternative to a shoe like the Pegasus or the Ride, one of those standard daily trainers, something like the Audi Zero SL. If you want a little bit more protection from the ground, but you don't want something super soft like the 1080, that's gonna mute and deaden that ride experience. The other part of the ride that I wanted to mention between these two is the stability. Now, the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 is going to be a little bit more stable than the New Balance 1080. That's due to this plastic heel clip out in the back. This was a shoe that was designed with mild stability needs in mind. So if you are a slight overpronator, then the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 does have the support to help correct that. It also has this rear overhang of foam plus a wide platform out here, which helps for stable landings at the rear of the shoe. The 1080 also does have a solid wide platform. If we compare these two, you'll see they're pretty similar. Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 might be a little bit wider, but overall these both feel pretty planted out there on the run. But due to the nature of the foams and that firmer EVA that we're gonna see in the power run here, this one is going to be the more stable choice out there on the run. All right, guys, heading up to the upper, New Balance 1080 has a much more comfortable upper. Not only is there a lot more room in the toe box of the New Balance, there's just overall more padding up here at the back of the shoe, throughout the middle of the shoe, and the fit and feel of the shoe is just softer all around. Specifically, if we look at this padding here, you can see the New Balance has a ton of this up here in the back where the Achilles is. The Saucony is pretty minimalist. It has an almost race-like upper, which is kind of strange for a daily training recovery running shoe, but it is part of Saucony's Endorphin series, so they wanted to go with the stripped down lighter upper. You can see up close here, the material of the New Balance 1080 is very soft, very stretchy. It's like that cotton t-shirt type of engineered mesh feel, and the laces are nice and soft as well, so you could crank them down on this padded tongue without getting any lace bite. Saucony Endorphin Shift 3, on the other hand, has a very thin tongue. The laces on this version here, this is the Visi Pro glow in the dark version. So the laces here are these rounded numbers. They aren't as soft and stretchy as the New Balance, but I didn't have any issues with lace bite. And if we look at the material of the upper itself, it's gonna be a little bit scratchier, not as forgiving as that 1080 material. My only complaint that I had with the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3, and something that I'm still paying for to this day, is how tight the upper is in the forefoot area. Now, I have a standard foot. I fit in most shoes, maybe slightly wide up there where the pinky toe is, but this thing completely destroyed my left foot where the pinky toe meets the rest of the foot. This upper was really tight right here, and my foot would just get pinched in due to how narrow this upper is out in the front. That is a key issue with a lot of the Saucony shoes. shoes in their standard fit. So I would say if you are looking for a shoe with a little bit more forgiving fit, with a wider toe box that's gonna be more comfortable, then the New Balance 1080 takes the cake. Overall, this is a more comfortable shoe. However, if you have a narrow foot, want something with a more aggressive feel, then Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 could be a good choice for you. In terms of the lockdown with these, I had no issues with either of them. Saucony probably has a bit better lockdown just because it is that race-like upper, is a little bit less material. New Balance is a little bit of a baggier, looser fit, but again, this is going to be a recovery running shoe where you're not going to want to go super fast, so I don't have a problem with a little bit looser, more forgiving fit here. All right, guys, heading down to the outsole of these shoes, let's chat through the durability. Now, I have about 350 miles on the Shift 3 here and 100 miles on the New Balance 1080. So you can see on the Shift 3, I completely wore through this rubber in the back. This is one of the biggest weaknesses of the shoe because they wanted to go for a little bit lighter, more race-like, more up-tempo vibe to match the rest of that Endorphin series. They didn't put a ton of rubber on the Shift 3 here to weigh it down. Also, their other max cushion shoe in their rotation for Saucony, that Triumph, has a huge rubber outsole, so they differentiated this one a little bit. That was a huge mistake from my point of view. This is not a durable outsole shoe. I did get it to 350 miles, but I completely chewed up all the rubber back here. I think 250 miles is where I started chewing through it even more, and now you can just see it's completely falling apart. This rubber is not really doing anybody any favors at this point. Same thing up here in the forefoot. You can see I've chewed through a lot of this foam just because it's exposed. It doesn't have any rubber on it. You probably could get some more miles out of this if you really wanted to, if you're focused on affordability and taking your shoes to high mileage. I like to err on the side of caution and not use my shoes when they're completely busted. So this guy has been retired at 350 miles. New Balance, on the other hand here, this is a little bit of a problematic outsole as well. If you look at the Let me get the other shoe. If you look at the right shoe here, you'll see that due to the way that they laid out this strategic rubber, going with this pod design, there's this little bit of exposed foam on the outside of the heel, and this is already starting to chew through, at less than 100 miles, and this exposed foam in the middle of the heel area is also chewing through as well. Forefoot rubber looks pretty solid at 100 miles, but I'm just not feeling like this is going to be a hugely durable shoe with a ton of longevity, especially because softer foams like this fresh foam that we're seeing in here tend to have a little bit less durability than firmer foams like the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 Power Run. So if durability is your number one deciding factor, also affordability, then the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 is a much better choice. It's $80 cheaper and it's going to last for many more miles. If you're purely concerned with the quality of the outsole rubber for grip out there on the run, then I would give it to the New Balance 1080. It's got a lot more rubber coverage on the forefoot. It's gonna be a lot better for wet situations than the Saucony here because this thing does not have a lot of rubber. It's not gonna be the best for taking it through mud or any type of sticky off-road or even on-road slightly damp paths. So durability and affordability, Saucony, grip, New Balance. In terms of who these are best for, it's really gonna come down to how much you want to spend and how soft or firm you prefer your ride. If budget is your number one choice, then I would recommend the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. You can get away with using this from everything from recovery runs to daily training to workouts. It's not gonna be as comfortable, as relaxed as the New Balance, but it can get the job done and you'll feel a lot better saving those 80 bucks if you are on a budget. On the other hand, if you want something that's super soft, super comfortable, gonna take the load off your legs, you can lace it up day after day and just get that blood flowing without putting undue stress on your muscles and tendons, then the New Balance is gonna be your choice here. The New Balance does take the edge for me in terms of long runs. This is a little bit better for me for anything over 10 miles. I did not love taking the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 over 10 miles just because the firmer foam gets a little bit grating on my legs past that 90-minute mark. I didn't experience that with the New Balance. I've taken this 12 plus miles and it feels great. Very comfortable shoe for those longer efforts. If you need a wider fit, I would go with the New Balance as well. The Saucony is going to be very tight up there on the forefoot. It's not the most friendly, forgiving ride for wider feet. It does have that snugger, more race-like upper. And the final question I would ask you is, are you looking for a recovery running shoe or are you looking for a daily trainer? Despite the very similar stack heights, the New Balance, yes, it is a recovery running shoe, but the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 is much closer to a daily trainer, especially for bigger and taller runners who can get the most benefit out of the rocker and firm foam combo that we're seeing in the Shift 3. So for runners who want a soft recovery ride, yes, the New Balance is going to be worth that $70 to $80 price premium over the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. However, if you're looking for a daily trainer and don't mind a firmer ride, I would not pay that price premium for the New Balance 1080. All right, guys, so there you have it. That is the head-to-head comparison of the 1080 with the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video.